The MLB trade deadline has come and gone. Some fan bases around baseball ecstatic. Others, not so much. MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, and we are underway.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for LockedOn MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at LockedOn can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on LockedOn MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
He is Lindsay Crosby, host of the Locked On Braves postcast. You can follow Lindsay on the X at Crosby Baseball. I'm Steve Lenox, host of the Locked On Red Sox postcast. You can follow me on the X at Lenox on Baseball. Lindsay, we've tried to catch our breath the best we can. AJ Preller's trying to do the same thing, the head of the front office for the San Diego Padres. But the Rays and Yankees wrap up a series in the Bronx on Thursday. They also play Let's Make a Deal. Again, A.J. Preller did not disappoint. He had the phones, the fax, the emails, the texts, everything going. And the Cubs and Red Sox, you can certainly make a case for both, I think, that their fan bases right now are saying they didn't do enough. Our latest episode of MLB Game Night presented by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Use promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your first order. Only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. Lindsay, 3 games on the schedule. We're going to get to all 3 of them to lead off each of our 3 segments here with MLB Game Night. But as we get going, we'll do Rays Yankees in just a moment, their series finale in the Bronx. But what's your biggest takeaway as we go for about 30 plus minutes here on MLB Game Night? What's your biggest takeaway from Thursday in the deadline?
Starters felt like they were more expensive than ever. And so a lot of teams either dropped down a level on the caliber of guy they got or just sat out altogether. I thought the Cubs were going to go get a frontline guy. And we saw so many teams just kind of bail on getting one of the best starters. And I was kind of shocked by that.
And there are a couple of teams, the Yankees, Brian Cashman's done it before. If we can't add top-of-the-line starting pitching, let's shorten games. Let's have the best bullpen available. And A.J. Preller did that as well. That was a big move, and we'll touch on that here shortly. But Mason Miller going to the Padres, along with J.P. Sears, they gave up a ton throughout the course of the day. But they're win it now, win it in 2025. And Miller, I guess they have designs on him potentially being a starter in the future.
He had started in the past, and the reason that they kind of pulled him out of starting was he had that UCL sprain, and he missed some time. And when they came back, the GM said, we're going to put him in the bullpen to try to keep him healthy, and we'll evaluate after he gives us a healthy season in the bullpen. And he was so good, they left him there. But you absolutely have the whole winter now to have him work as if he's going to be a starter. There's a blueprint out there, Garrett Crochet. It absolutely worked with him. They can copy that model. And I feel like you almost have to do that with Mason Miller to get the value out of trading a top 5 prospect in baseball to acquire him.
Yeah. So the Yankees, as I touched on in the open, closing out their series against the Rays, who were active. They were adding, they were subtracting, and the 2 teams also made a deal as well. We'll get into that in just a minute. But the Yankees jumped out, Lindsay, to a 7-0 lead, held on and won 7-4. Yankees dropped the opener on Monday against the Rays, come back, win the next 3. Giancarlo Stanton, home run number 8 in limited time. Ben Rice now has 16 home runs. And this is a lineup that's producing without the big guy, Aaron Judge, in the lineup right now.
I worry about the ability to continue doing this, and I worry about the ability in the outfield when they do eventually bring Aaron Judge back, right? They've talked about Giancarlo Stanton needing to play the outfield a little bit, but for right now, they're doing a really good job of balancing the playing time between Ben Rice, Paul Goldschmidt at first base. But again, when Judge comes back, you then have to put Stanton in the outfield, and we'll see how that goes.
There's a lot to like about Major League Baseball's trade deadline. The Rays, again, during the game, trading Jose Caballero to the Yankees. So he might solidify them up the middle defensively a little bit more at second and short. But Jonathan Aranda, Chandler Simpson, Yandy Diaz. Diaz was potentially on the trade block. They all got injured in Thursday's finale in the Bronx.
And what's tough about, for instance, Diaz and Aranda, they split time at first base and DH a lot. Curtis Mead who is another guy that he's played some second, but they also like to use him at first and DH. He got traded today in the Adrian Hauser deal. So they could potentially went from having 3 first base options to having no first base options in the span of an afternoon. I do believe Simpson's injury is not anything huge. It's like a sprained finger. He could be back sometime soon, but I'm a little worried about them buying and then losing guys at the exact same time.
Yeah, Taj Bradley goes in a trade where they get Griffin Jax. We'll touch on that here momentarily as well. Not so much with the game recaps with our latest MLB game night, but reaction from our Locked On hosts around Locked On MLB on all the different trades that went down. With that, we hear from Locked On Yankees host and one of our co-hosts on MLB game night, Brian McKeon. Reaction with a busy day for Brian Cashman and the Yankees.
Big trade deadline for the Yankees as they make major additions to the bullpen. What was at one time in the season their weakness has now become their strength. Camilo Doval from the San Francisco Giants, Jake Bird from the Colorado Rockies, and David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates. All acquired, all have years left under their contracts. One guy with arbitration left on his deal. Absolutely solid moves. Plus, the Yankees don't give up a single prospect within their top 8 in their system. All 3 are high strikeout guys, something the Yankees truly value a lot. Plus, with Devin Williams and Luke Weaver becoming free agents, this is an absolutely key way to set up your bullpen, not only for this year, but for the future as well. We'll be discussing all of it on Locked On Yankees. Catch us on the Locked On MLB Squad Show as well. Everything available on Locked On. We'll be breaking down all the trade deadline rumors.
Am I okay to worry that Bednar comes from a losing team in the Pirates and Bird does the same thing from the Rockies, and now they're thrown into the fire in the Bronx with the Yankees, and they're going to be expected? They have not been in high leverage situations like they're going to experience here in the coming days and weeks with the Yankees.
Everybody has an adjustment period, it feels like, when you go to the Bronx. But I do think, and maybe maybe Bednar a little more so, he's a veteran. I think he'll be okay for the most part. Bird's the one where the way that this is configured, he's probably 4th or 5th on the pecking order. I mean, you're in a situation where you could have Weaver and and Devin Williams both out of a game, and you're using Jake Bird in the 7th. So I think you'll end up being okay. I don't think it's going to be anything too terribly imposing. The good news is you have the depth where if one of these guys does struggle in his acclimation, you've got plenty of other options to replace him in that game.
Again, Rays active, buyers and sellers. I love Griffin Jax going to Tampa Bay. They're going to be right back in the thick of things in 2026. We hear from our guys with Locked On Rays on everything or a lot of what the Rays did in the last couple of days leading up to the trade deadline.
Trade deadline is over, and the Rays had an incredibly busy day. I'm Ulysses Zambrano. That's Kevin Weiss, host of the Locked On Rays podcast. Jose Caballero, gone. Tash Bradley, gone. Curtis Mead, gone. Zach Littell, gone. Ben Rordvet, gone.
Meanwhile, Griffin Jax, acquired. Adrian Hauser, acquired. Catcher of the future, perhaps, Hunter Fiducia, acquired. Plus a number of other prospects.
And they keep Yandy Diaz, they keep Brandon Lau, and Pete Fairbanks. This tells us the Rays front office still believes there's an opportunity for October with this team.
So, Lindsay, scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you that Fairbanks is still with the Rays?
Not incredibly shocked. I did think that they would think about moving him, but this is a situation where you can see their approach here of let's go get a bunch of different guys for our pin. And since you added Adrian Hauser, now you're in a situation where, hey, if you want to throw Joe Boyle back there too, he's a flamethrower that you can get a bunch of high leverage stuff. I think it works out. I think it's a good move.
Brian McKeon mentioned Camilo Doval going from the Giants to the Yankees. We've got Ben Kaspick with reaction to what the Giants did, because a couple of weeks ago, no one thought the Giants would be in this situation come trade deadline day.
Giants looked like deadline buyers pretty much all season until they fell apart, like completely fell apart, losing 12 of their last 14, and they ship off Tyler Rogers, Camilo Doval, and Mike Yastrzemski. This is Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. Giants got a bunch of players in return. too many to name, but the fact is it's a disappointing outcome, very disappointing for this Giants team that now figures to miss the playoffs for the 8th time in 9 seasons. They've made the playoffs once since the start of the 2017 campaign. That was in 2021 with a first round exit. So on the podcast, we do break down all the players the Giants got in return. There are some guys to like. There are no slam dunks here. Giants didn't move like any major players. I would say that the Camilo Doval return looks a little bit light, and I'm not sure I even like it more than the Tyler Rogers return. And Rogers is a rental for 2 months, and Doval is under team control for 2 months plus 2 more years. And so that one struck me as underwhelming. I thought they did well for what they got back for a rental of Mike Yastrzemski from the Royals, who are in a similar position to the Giants when it comes to playoff odds. So we break all of this down on the last 2 episodes of Locked On Giants, but just a very, very disappointing last few weeks for this team as they become deadline sellers. This is Ben Kaspick signing off.
I never expected that to happen when they went out and got Rafi. I didn't see that coming. That's one of the bigger in-season, like mid-season course corrections that I think of the year for me. I mean, the biggest disappointments are like the Braves, the Orioles, right? But mid-season going from good to bad is probably the Giants.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up this segment because we've got to talk about the Padres here. We're going to hear from Javier Reyes, Locked On Padres, in just a moment. We're also going to hear from Booney on The Athletic, stealing both Mason Miller and JP Sears in that deal. AJ Preller also keeps Dylan Cease. And when I heard the news that they traded for Ryan O'Hearn, and all of a sudden it was like, Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano, I'm like, where are they playing these guys? They're going to have to make some moves here where guys that have produced for them so far through this part of the season, they're going to be off the active roster very soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's the outfield's been kind of like you have Merrill when he's been healthy. Tatis obviously is Tatis, but outside of that, you've gotten black holes out of left field. DH has been a black hole. They were playing Luis Ariz there. He's a kind of a singles merchant, and they needed. I like going out to get both a left fielder and a DH because now you can mix and match a little bit, and you're not having to play every single guy every single day. You can mix and move. Give a guy a day here and not jeopardize the offense that day like they were having to do when they were down so many options.
Padres reaction from our Locked On Padres host, Jose Reyes.
Jay Preller and the Padres refuse to be normal, ladies and gentlemen, trading for Mason Miller of the A's, making their bullpen not just a good bullpen, but an Avengers-level threat bullpen, ladies and gentlemen. Javier Reyes here of Locked On Padres. And while that news sounds exciting on surface level, there are a lot of questions. San Diego land is a little bit polarized over this move because while, yes, Mason Miller is amazing, you are trading Leody DeVries for him as part of this deal. Leody DeVries, one of the best prospects, not just for the team, but in all of baseball, 5 to 10 range, and he's just 18 years old. So an asset like that for a relief pitcher, not great. It makes you a little bit nervous, right? Especially when they have bigger needs at catcher and left field. Now, the counter to that is AJ Preller is very good at rebuilding the farm. There's still time left at the deadline, and reportedly, Mason Miller started as a starting pitcher. Right? So are they thinking, let's have an amazing bullpen rest of this year and go for it, and then Mason Miller, we're going to convert him to a starter the way other teams have successfully done for some other big-time relievers? Seth Lugo, Clay Holmes this year come to mind, among many others. So it's one of those wait-and-see moves, right, for sure. But at the very minimum, baseball's better with AJ Preller and the Padres in it. And am I right or am I right?
There's AJ Preller and there's Craig Breslow. Opposite ends of the spectrum.
I was trying to think of one way to say like a portrait of contrast between those two guys. I mean, Padres, they got and get Nestor Cortez. They got Freddie Fermin for catcher. I mean, they legitimately filled just about every single hole on this team. Now, they traded just about every single rated prospect to do it, and that's a thing that they do every single year. And knock on wood, so far it has not come back to bite them yet. So we'll see what happens going forward.
No, we're running long here in segment number 1, but we've got to hear from Booney as, again, they get rid of the closer and also a starter in JP Sears leaving from West Sacramento.
flex a dominant closer if you never give him the damn ball with a lead. You need starting pitching. You need middle relief. You need a lineup that can put up runs. Otherwise, that fire-breathing monster in the ninth is just a luxury sports car stuck in traffic. This is Boney from LockedOn A's, and let me tell you, I absolutely love the trade the A's made today. This wasn't just a deal. It was a baseball chess move. One team going all in for October, the other stacking chips for a dynasty. You want comps? When Chris Sale got dealt to the Red Sox in 2016, or when Juan Soto moved to the Padres in 2022, the returns were huge. But what the A's just pulled off, it might have been even better. Headlined by Leo DeVries, an 18-year-old switch-hitting shortstop ranked number 3 in all of baseball, who has drawn comps to Francisco Lindor. The A's walked away with not just one future star, but 3 of the Padres' top 15 prospects. Yes, Mason Miller is electric, but baseball history has been brutal to closers. They flash hot and they fade fast. This was the A's cashing in at the absolute peak. And it's a win-win trade for both sides. For the first time in a long time, the A's didn't just trade talent, they made a statement.
Cashing in, Booney says, and putting the chips in the middle of the table. The edict, I think, is simple. When we move to Las Vegas, we better be ready to go and contend in the division.
Position player wise, they're going to be. The ages of these kids, 25, 22, 27, 23, 25, 20, like 24. This roster is going to be together for years. Question is, can the pitching get there in enough time before these guys start to age out and or hit free agency?
The Braves, the Reds, open up a series in Cincinnati on Thursday night. They're going to close it out in Bristol, Tennessee on Saturday. Both teams hung up 8 runs in the 8th inning. Yes, you heard that right, and we're going to have the details next. It's MLB Game Night.
It is time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusions. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're seeking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Because let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. And really, golf, life in general, is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down your beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5, hourenergy.com, you can use our promo code, the network's promo code, LockedOnGolf, to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders, but whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today.
All right, Lindsay, you'll take it here. Braves win in 10, 12-11. Go ahead with the 8th inning for both the Braves and Reds Thursday night in Cincy.
Okay, listen, this was absolutely gross. All right, the Braves sent 13 batters to the plate, top of the 8th, 8 runs on 8 hits, no homers, right? They faced 3 Reds relievers, just victimized Sam Moll and Lyon Richardson. Brent Suter gets them out of it. The Reds sent 12 batters to the plate in the bottom of the 8th. They scored 8 runs on 8 hits. They had 2 homers, though. They faced 3 Braves relievers. They victimized Dane Dunning and Dylan Lee before Pierce Johnson got out of it. This is the 3rd time in baseball history that both teams have scored 8 or more runs in the same inning. So, of course, nobody scored in the 9th, and there was a grand total of 1 run scored in the 10th, but somehow Atlanta came out of this with a 12-11 victory. Atlanta was 8 runs in the top of the inning just to turn around and give them all back. It was my heart almost could not take it. The Reds obviously felt like they had some pitching problems that were exposed in that game. They went out actually and made a trade before this game started, getting Zach Littell from the Rays. Here's Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds with his thoughts on why they made this deal.
I love the Zach Littell trade for the Cincinnati Reds for the sheer flexibility that it now brings to the pitching staff. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast. And Zach Littell is a reliable, every fifth day, take the ball, get on the mound, and get your team a good chance to win kind of guy. He has pitched very well for the Rays this year. Your argument's going to be, well, Jeff, he leads the league in homers allowed. How good can he be? Even with that, his ERA is still 3.5. And it's because he doesn't allow free passes. He is actually number one in Major League Baseball in walks per nine allowed at 1.5. I really feel like this is a great get for the Reds because he also has experience pitching out of the bullpen. So he can pitch out of the bullpen. He can pitch in the rotation. Nick Krall said that at least initially he's going to start in the rotation and Nick Martinez is going to move to the bullpen. This also could open up an opportunity down, a week or so down the road maybe, to consider moving Chase Burns to the bullpen whenever Hunter Green returns. That way you get more innings out of Chase Burns. You get more appearances out of Chase Burns, and he could be part of the playoff pitching staff. But I love what this trade does for the Reds, and I don't feel like they gave up a lot to get Zach Littell.
The thought process here of, hey, I want a guy who gives up a bunch of home runs in the smallest ballpark in baseball feels like it's maybe not great process to me, Steve.
Yeah, but at the beginning of the week, did you have the Cincinnati Reds more active at the trade deadline, the team than the two teams they're looking up at, and the NL Central and the Brewers and the Cubs? I mean, the Cubs made a couple moves here, but keep Brian Hayes, I like. And I like Littell. And a lot of the home runs that Littell has given up, nobody on base. And Jeff alluded to it with the walks.
Yeah. He's one of the best in baseball at that. And
yeah,
Brian Hayes had a defensive error that caused a run to come in for Atlanta, but then he had a 3-run home run later in the game that is part of that big eighth inning. I kind of like the moves that they've made. I was surprised they got a third baseman when they had moved a third baseman to right field to try to make room for everybody, but I like what the Reds are doing. I'm glad they're going for it. We need Ellie De La Cruz in the postseason. That's what we need.
100%. Perfect way to wrap that one up. Just real quick on the Cubs. Surprise. I mean, again, they wanted to land, like the Red Sox, a big starting pitcher. They just weren't going to be moved in this market. A lot of those guys may move next offseason, this winter, but not at the trade deadline for 2025.
Yeah, that was they were I think the biggest team where I was expecting them to do something and just never. I mean, they got Michael Soroka and, he pitched really well out of the bullpen late last year for the White Sox. He's probably not a postseason starter for you, but you can move him to the pen. He has, he'll work out. But you thought they were going to go higher. You thought, hey, they've got Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara. Like they've got guys that they can move that are blocked. And instead they said, we'll just keep these guys. If we don't re-sign Kyle Tucker, we can use one of them there. And if not, we'll do an offseason trade. I was surprised by this one. Nothing else, because the fan base was so vocal that they had to go get somebody, and they didn't do it. That was just the biggest thing is it looked like that was a glaring need, and they just didn't fill it. Can they make it work out of the bullpen? Can they shorten games with the bullpen? I don't know if the bullpen's good enough to do that either.
Let's go to the show me state. We'll start with the Cardinals. Probably could have moved a lot more than they did, but Matz has gone to the Mets. Matt's gone to the Red Sox. Helsley goes to the Mets.
Yeah, this is JD from Locked On Cardinals, one of our hosts, actually gave us a short on all of this, but I thought they'd sell a little bit more, and they really didn't. It's a lot of the pieces. There was rumors around, does Arenado finally move? Donovan, some of these other guys. They didn't make a lot of moves. Just a couple veteran pitchers, and that's really it. The Royals, we'll stay in the Central. The Royals on the other side of the other league, they had 3 moves, and it was selling major league pieces, but getting major league pieces back. This was, to me, the perfect kind of walking the line, right? Freddie Fermin goes to the Padres. They get 2 MLB pitchers in Ryan Burgett and Stephen Kolek. Loved that deal. They get Mike Yastrzemski for their outfield, which has been, we've talked about it on the show a ton, has been awful, right?
Yep.
And then, they already had Randall Grichuk. They'd already gotten Adam Frazier. I really like what they did. But Bailey Falter, that's the other one. Bailey Falter for their like. It just I love what they did, and I think that American League Central is winnable. Like it's not locked down by anybody yet.
And again, Yastrzemski's a free agent, I believe, at the end of the year, but they've made a couple of moves here where, they're going to try to be right back in it in 2026. The other game on the slate in Seattle on Thursday night with the Rangers and Mariners opening up a 4-game series. George Kirby was terrific and Cal Raleigh homered. We'll have details next. It's MLB Game Night. All right, I feel like we played a little catch-up there in segment number 2. Great job by you, Lindsay. Hey, Mariners take the opener, 6-0 against the Rangers. They've added bats. Naylor, Eugenio Suarez, who made his team debut, 1 for 4, double run scored on Thursday night. But this is Kirby, this is Gilbert, this is Wu, this is the bullpen. Kirby, 6 scoreless innings against the Rangers, retired 11 in a row at one point. I mentioned Cal Raleigh before going to our little break there. Home run number 42. I changed my mind on 55 home runs and taking the under on that I proposed to you a while back because now he's got even more protection in that lineup. It's longer. But the Mariners right now, they take game 1. This is a 4-game series, but Seattle at home can do some damage here. And this is the first of what is a lengthy homestand for the M's.
Speaking of the lineup, there's a question. Raleigh batting second, Eugenio Suarez batting fourth with Julio Rodriguez in the middle. Feels like a weird place to put the speedy guy between the catcher and the lumbering third baseman, right? Like you put Rodriguez, you have Randy Rosarena, you have Julio Rodriguez, and then you let Raleigh and Naylor hit. Is this something? I'm sorry, Naylor and Suarez. Is this something where they want Cal Raleigh to be up high and then number 2 hole, get as many at bats as possible? Like why is that the lineup? It feels like that's not the optimal distribution of guys here.
I wonder if they had to actually talk to him about it because he's been up in the lineup. Yeah. But again, more protection behind him. So they're going to have to pitch to him. And I think you're right. You give him that extra at bat, every game, and that's going to add up to, over the course of the rest, the start of August and into September, certainly. From the Rangers' perspective, they were active. I was kind of surprised. Merrill Kelly was a big pickup from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And we've got Bryce.
The best pitcher moved?
Yeah.
The best starter?
I think it was. Yeah. Just about, because Gallen didn't go anywhere. Alcantara didn't go anywhere. So yeah, in many ways, Cease didn't go anywhere. So we've got Bryce, Locked On Rangers, with his reaction to the day.
The Rangers keep on making moves, trading for more pitching, despite having the best staff in all of baseball. Merrill Kelly, starter of the Arizona Diamondbacks, is now headed to Texas, the team that beat his team in the World Series in 2023. Merrill Kelly is now joining that team in Texas' attempt to win yet another World Series. There are 3 prospects going back at this point. The Rangers also traded for Danny Coulomb, and now they are officially over that luxury tax threshold. It seemed like the Rangers were reluctant to bump up against that luxury tax to go into the 3-time repeater tax, but hey, Ray Davis, the Rangers owner, is cutting that check and spending that money going into the 3rd-time repeater tax. And now it seems like the Rangers might still have another move left in them. They could use another right-handed bat that hits lefty pitching well, but adding Merrill Kelly makes me think maybe there's something more wrong with Tyler Mahle or Kumar Rockers going out of this rotation. Either way, this team is incredibly going for it right now in a big, big way.
Bryce from Locked On Rangers. The name you mentioned there at the end, Kumar Rocker, he's a guy who could go to the bullpen and thus perhaps 2-inning guy. Maybe that fastball elevates even more, and that could possibly even be more of a strength for the Texas Rangers.
Let that Kumar Rocker slider eat. I mean, just throw it in the bullpen. Let him throw it 55% of the time. Back it up with the high velo fastball and just let him eat. That also helps with, and we heard Jeff Carr mention this with Chase Burns. This helps with the innings as you get down the stretch as well. So I wouldn't be surprised. The Yankees probably move Cam Schlitter to the bullpen as well. Same idea. High velo fastball helps his innings a little bit, and you get an impact there down the stretch.
So the Astros brought back Carlos Correa. The big one with this between the Astros and Twins was how much money was going to be divvied up between the two teams, because the Astros were not going to take the $100 million plus back in return. Eric Heisman, Locked On Astros, has some of the details for us.
This is Eric Heisman with the LockedOn Astros podcast, and we have some details about the Carlos Correa deal. It is a 1-for-1 with a minor prospect, as we talked about on the LockedOn Astros podcast, and the Twins also send $33 million along with Carlos Correa. That means of the $103.42 million that is owed to Carlos Correa over the next 3.5 seasons, the Astros only have to pay $70.42 million of that contract. So that is a big deal. So the Astros did not get the $50 million that they are asking from the Twins, but they got 33, and they only had to give up Matt McCluskey, which is a high A starting pitcher, not in the top 30. So it's something that we kind of addressed on the Locked On Astros podcast. Go and make this your first listen every day.
It's an interesting one. They're all in. They push the chips to the middle, and I give credit to the Astros because they always seem to be active and be willing to make moves just like this.
Yeah, and he's moving to third base. Like, he came out and confirmed it's time in his career for him to move to third base, which is wild to me because Cam Smith, you made him move to the outfield for the first time. He's a natural third baseman. I mean, this is more than just this season, obviously, but like it's odd to me that they did that. But now you're in a situation you don't have to use prospect Bryce Matthews at second. You can put Mauricio Dubon there. There's so many downstream impacts of doing this because now they acquired Ramon Urias. He can play as well.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to do this. I think a lot of this is a clubhouse thing. They're bringing one of their leaders back. They're getting some help on the contract, but now they have the flexibility to mix and match on matchups versus just trying to cover second base and third base after Paredes went down.
Yeah. Twins just got done with a home series against the Red Sox, and they were actually talking about it. And one of the points that was made during that series that wrapped up on Wednesday, and even today on MLB Network Radio, was the fact that Correa has such a great relationship with Jose Altuve as well.
Yeah, apparently he was getting calls and texts as the trade was happening from current Astros players excited that he was coming home. I think it's a big deal.
Real quick, to me, the winners and losers, the winners, simply the two teams that make it to the World Series from the trade deadline. Nobody's won or lost yet because so much is weighed out there. What do you take? Again, I asked you at the beginning, now that we've gone through the full show, real quick, final thoughts on this deadline.
I'm amazed more teams didn't try to move relievers. The Braves didn't send anybody other than Rafael Montero yesterday. I'm amazed more teams didn't say, hey, the prices for starters are too high. Let's throw an extra reliever out there so you can shorten a game like the Yankees did. I'm just amazed more teams didn't do that.
We are back at it, Lindsay and I. Latest edition of MLB Game Night, Friday into Saturday. We're going to have a full slate of games. Tell your friends all about us. MLB Game Night, every game, every night.